Hi guys, shall we start now?
We're ready to go.
Yep. All right, let's do it. So, hi guys, welcome to the Humor Cross Scroll, our live stream sections. We're honored to have Ali from ARF here and Richard from Humor here with us. So today we're gonna briefly talk about to understand both of the project a little bit more, of the vision behind, what's the story behind when they find ARF and Humor, and we're gonna talk about like how they gonna what they feel about integrating on Scroll, and then we're gonna share like some of the roadmap they have, and now we got Sandy, our Scroll founders here, to share a little bit more about future plans of Scroll here. So we're honored to have all you guys here, GM as usual. So yeah, just a quick introduction. So Richard, can you tell me a little bit more about what Humor is all about?
Hi, Carl. Thank you so much for having me here. And GM everybody to the entire Scroll community. We are super excited to be on this call. I'm Richard Leung, co-founder and co-CEO of Huma Finance. Huma is an RWA platform. We help all kinds of payment applications to tokenize their asset, present on-chain, connect with all kinds of on-chain opportunities. So we believe we focus more on payment side. So we believe PayFi is the new frontier of RWA.
Cool, thank you. As usual, we are honored to have you, Richard. So, Ali, can you tell us a little bit more about ARF?
Hey guys, very happy to be here and very excited to talk with you guys. I can talk about ARF in a way that we are, you can say, sitting between top Web3 and TradFi. We are a regulated financial institution in Switzerland, but we work with stable coins and we are providing settlement financing to cross-border payment companies all around the world. Our clients are only regulated licensed companies, and we move volumes around more than $1 billion now annually, and this is all on stablecoin. In total volume is now exceeding around or nearing around 2 billion.
Cool. Yeah, as usual, we're happy to have Sandy here. So Sandy, what's the most exciting and the latest Scroll news you can share with us?
Hi, Richard. Hi, Ali. Welcome on the Scroll podcast. Great to have you guys here. Well, as everyone knows that we're in this massive build-out phase of welcoming fantastic founders and builders and great assets and welcoming everyone to our ecosystem. So a quick update from Scroll for those that are following. We're built on Ethereum, so we inherit a lot of the security and decentralization features from Ethereum, and we started out to build the most EVM compatible ZK rollup with the fastest finality, the shortest finality, and also the highest uptime. So we've managed to provide 10x higher throughput and 10x cheaper fees than Ethereum with a 3-second block time. We are the largest ZK rollup by liquidity, securing over 1 billion in liquidity and also 1 billion in volume. We're the first ZK rollup to have core DeFi primitives deployed, including Aave, Compound, Uniswap, etc. And also we're now pushing the frontier on PayFi and RWA with Huma and ARF. And I can't wait to share more about what these fantastic projects will bring to the ecosystem. Other kinds of kind of builder-centric things that we've done in order to support our ecosystem is that we have the best underlying infra support, including Etherscan, Chainlink, RPC nodes, and Foundry, so that hopefully founders can build and deploy on Scroll with very, very little friction. And when we have the fastest growing developer ecosystem with about 5 million unique addresses and lots and lots of ETH saved for users interacting on chain.
Thank you, Sandy. So let's take a deeper dive to two of our guests here, Huma and ARF. So what is Huma and what problems is it designed to solve in the global payment landscape?
Hey, Carl. Thank you for the question. Just like I mentioned earlier, Huma is an Onchain, tokenization platform. We enable all kinds of payment applications to tokenize their assets on chain, so that we can provide that mechanism for them to connect them with the investors. And so what happens is that, when I came from fintech background, and my last company, every year they probably have loan origination right now about 10 billion USD dollars, and they highly profitable, generate tons of transaction value. But even those type of creative companies, they may not be able to access credit facility. We witnessed how hard it is. And we know a lot, not only fintech company, but also a lot of crypto companies like ARF. When we first talked to ARF, we realized it was so challenging for them to access all kinds of liquidity. That's why we built the platform to enable innovative fintech companies, crypto companies, for them to be able to access liquidity. And in this process, we need laser focus on payments applications, because what a payments application really does is, in my view, is the number one unfair advantage for blockchain is moving money from point A to point B. That's actual basically payments. A lot of payments applications doesn't require financing for them to move money, be able to move money smoothly. For example, a credit card is probably the largest payment financing applications. You and I swap card today, but we only pay back the money about 30 days ago. And then in between, the issuer bank would pay the merchants 2-3 days later to settle the transaction. That's probably the largest payment finance application, and it's $16 trillion. So that's why we try to enable this type of applications. And Arnie will really talk more about the cross-border payments, which is also another exciting domain.
Cool. So let's take a step back. Can you tell us a little bit more about the story of the motivation, or like any inspiration behind creating Huma? Or like, is there any like special opportunities that you identified that led to the creation of Huma?
Yeah, so this goes back to my when I work as a CTO for Earning, one of the largest consumer fintech companies, and they enable tens of millions of people to access their future paycheck, really to serve the underserved people in the United States. And that was super exciting when you enable those people to be able to access their future payments. That's basically, you find a way to describe the value of the future money flow. And when I see how excited those users are, when I see, because they were able to access their future paycheck, they were able to have the birthday party for their kids, able to do whatever they are able to do. That's just super, super exciting. Then, but on the other side, as I mentioned earlier, I found companies like that because their business model is so new, their concepts are so new. Traditional finance are not designed to support them, so it was very, very hard for them to get a credit facility. And that company itself, I mentioned it, the volume is very big, more than $10 billion transaction volume, and then highly profitable. But still, they are not able to get facilities. They have to go to PE. Whenever you only have one or two funding sources, it becomes so difficult for you to get it. On the other side, I know how great the asset is. I, as an individual investor, I want to invest in their assets because double-digit yield and return, I know the default rate is insanely low, and I want to invest, but I'm not an LP for the large PE. So I want to get a chance to participate. That's why it inspired us to say, okay, for investors, they cannot access these great opportunities. For company need, they don't have access to funding source as well. So that's motivated us to build Huma, to connect this type of company and the funding sources. This one benefit of leveraging blockchain to do this is that you're able to access global assets for investors. You're able to access global capital for the companies as well. So that's why we are super excited to build and grow in this domain.
And we are excited to have you on Scroll as well. Thank you very much for your sharing, Richard. So ARF, can you tell us a little bit more about what is ARF and what problems does it decide to solve in the global payment landscape?
Of course. There's an echo. I don't know. Okay, now it's okay. So ARF is a regulated financial institution in Switzerland, and we are providing settlement liquidity or cross-border payments liquidity to financial institutions only. So it's very easy to understand. If you think it like today, there is $4 trillion locked at any given time in the world to make instant settlements in global payments. They look like same day, but they are not same day. I mean, in reality, they are mostly all the treasury, all that money, all that capital is already moved upfront to those countries, corridors, partners, whatever the payments destination is. And this $4 trillion is a huge, creates a huge friction for cross-border payment companies to grow. And ARF is very determined to solve that problem in not only in innovative way and very cutting edge technologies, but also in a very fully compliant way. So in that sense, you can imagine that even though you can have unlimited money in fiat in some country, if you want to move that money in cross-border, you need to move that via SWIFT or some other networks. However, if you have digital assets, stable coins are the best for mostly as a payment medium. And if you have some stable coin treasury, then it's very easy to do that independent the country you are in. So you can easily settle with your partners in cross-border payments as a financial institution. And you are regulated, your partner is regulated, so you can easily settle between yourselves in stable coins and digital assets. The idea is very simple, but doing it is not really easy because of all the different regulatory frameworks in the world, and different stable coins, different on-off ramps. And ARF is very dedicated to solve that problem by solving the biggest problem of the cross-border payments ecosystem. It's the liquidity. If you can solve the liquidity problem for financial institutions, then it will step by step will improve all the on-off ramps, all the regulations, all the use cases will be built, and everything on top of that. And the key is for us doing it very smart and innovative, and doing it very fully compliant.
And yeah, you are on the road to putting that off, and we're very glad to see that. So, is there any like special motivation that drive you to build this project? Like, is there any like some key issues that you would like to solve in the global payment landscape?
It's a great question. Thank you for that. I mean, we started as a crypto payment gateway actually in many years ago, and trying to solve the problems in payment gateways, card acquirings in fiat, and so that it's very hard to find a way or find players, early adopters, find the right regulator, right regime in regulation to bring fiat world and also Web3 and digital assets world together, because it only you can say its best shape is if you bring the best of these two worlds together. I mean, they both have ups and pros and cons, you can say, or a plus and negative. So in that sense, we started as a crypto payment gateway, and step by step we tried peer-to-peer Bitcoin sending app. We tried stablecoin settlement networks. And at the end of the day, we understand and solve the problem of liquidity. Everything is based on liquidity, and stable coins are really meant to solve the problem. Not maybe in domestic payments, not maybe in other use cases, but cross-border payments are the critical and most impactful area for stable coins and digital assets. In that sense, we were regulated 2 years ago in Switzerland, and now we are in the process of acquiring a fintech license, which is called as a lightweight banking license in Switzerland, and so it will be all secure, so we can provide crypto and fiat custody, crypto and fiat rails, and everything to all our clients. And because also by doing that along the journey, you can say today we process 1 billion, we originate 1 billion per year, but we have the demand of 1 billion per month. So we are moving to that direction to realize that in the next year. And yeah, as I said, I mean, it was like a journey from coming from merchants, solving problems for merchants, then retail, and then now financial institutions, and we are expanding from there.
Cool. Thank you very much for your sharing, Alec. So when it comes to global payment, we always need to address one key issue, which is credit risk, right? So a very, very simple yet complicated questions for both of you gentlemen right here. How do you manage credit risk? Maybe Richard, you can take that first.
Yeah, Carl, before we jump into it, I know many of the people on the call may not be familiar why we have, we say Huma come to school. Why do we have a school, Huma and ARF on the same call? So let's make sure we have that clear. So, Huma is a RWA, PayFi protocol. And that way we'll bring all kinds of applications to school. When the ARF is a shining star on Huma platform. So ARF is the one they bring the real assets, and Huma is a platform. So those two coming together. When you talk about credit assets, real ARF is the reason I say ARF is a shining star is the killer app. I would say anybody in RWA domain would acknowledge ARF is probably one of the most explosive and high quality assets. For two reasons, Arnie already mentioned, they process $1.8 billion on-chain transaction volume. That's at a very big scale. Number two, there is zero credit default. Circle did a very intensive case study about ARF, talk about how excited, how much real problem to solve for everybody, and what's the growth potential. So that's really just need a foundation about why Huma, why ARF. Let's talk about credit risk. Whenever you do this type of RWA assets, the most important thing is make sure the principal safety. In this case, ARF only lend money to licensed financial institutions. And then also in this cross-border payments, most of them is from developed countries to developing countries. For example, from Singapore to Malaysia to Philippines, from US to Mexico. Those are very big corridors. So in that case, ARF only target on those licensed financial institutions. We mostly do on the sending side. That means all the developed countries, because it's so hard to get license in those places, and it's just really, people take care of that. That's number one, by select your right customers. Number two, the nature of the assets, because cross-border settlement usually is very short duration. So in ARF's case, their long duration is 1 to 6 days. So that means you have a lot of earlier read about the financial institutions' healthiness. And number three is just because those licensed financial institutions and the money already, they have to, whenever they want to borrow money from ARF through the ARF and Huma, what they have is that they have to collect the money remittance order first. They get this order, then you use that as the collateral for them to borrow. That means the money is already in the financial system, and there is no other way. Based on S&P 500 stats, in the last 20 years, when money is in the financial system, the default rate is 0.25%. And then in our case, it's a short duration. You can imagine that in that default rate will be further low. That's why there is no surprise. Right now we have zero credit default is not really a major surprise to us. We expect to be very, very low in that way. That's just generally about the credit business. And then later on, I will ask ARF to talk about their underwriting process, those type of things. Second part is really how do you make sure that when you have all those investors' money, how do you really separate from the operating money company, Huma and ARF? So we set up special SPV, special purpose vehicle, and all the investors' money goes to that SPV, and all the borrow from that SPV, all the collaterals send it to that SPV. So that SPV is bankruptcy remote from what ARF and Huma has. So that is very, very structured. The last piece is about the structure. How do you design the structure so that you really give most of the protection? And you give the right protection to different people. The first one, we have put 2% cash reserve, so that even if in the most extreme case, if something goes wrong, our own money just goes out to pay off whatever the bad debt is. But that cash reserve means it's never deployed. It's always there. And that's from our own pocket. Then we require every pool to have at least 10% junior tranche. Then only after that, you have senior tranches. So that structural financing also give investor more protection. So overall summarize is really about the type of assets, the type of partners you want to identify, you service them, short duration. And then the other one is just set up the structure in such a way that you have most protection to the investor's money. Last one, you have the right structure. Even in the worst case, is our own money goes out first. With that, I'm going to turn over to Ani to talk about their underwriting, credit rating about the different borrowers.
Thank you, Richard. So I keep it very brief. We start developing our own credit risk model in-house. And by doing so, we know that there's this cross-border payments is a very old, very well-known industry, but how to do this in a liquidity perspective with stable coins is very new. And this is a very new category opening up in the market. That's why we started our own risk modeling, and we start very basic, and then layer by layer, we edit and more data points and more models on top of that. But I mean, you can see the analogy here. I mean, cross-border payments is very similar to a decentralized network. So in that sense, when you, because I mean, globally, there is no governing body around how you move your money. You can have different preferences. You can work with any partner. All the partners have different ways of working and different credibility or trust or risk score in that sense. So we are starting with very simple models of underwriting, and step by step with all the transactions and all the underwriting flowing throughout, we start building and upgrading the model to understand a network model in a way that which parties are trusting which and everything, and we are always improving that model. And underwriting is very straightforward in that sense. We require all our clients financials, audited financials, and we check them quarterly, and we always every day get their transactions, and every day we underwrite them again and again. So ARF provides a very short-term credit or settlement financing for 1 to 5 days. So we always on top of the fitness of the line. So it's not like even a 3 months or 6 months time, which can consider short in TradFi. So it's 1 to 5 days only. We always assess the credit risk quarterly. We always assess and continuously every day the drawdown requests on that credit.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So when it comes to DeFi protocols, right? Everybody's gonna ask the same question: how do you ensure like on-chain security? Richard, how Huma ensure on-chain security?
Sure, of course. Before I jump to security, I want to add one more point that Ani was mentioning. is that they have all those assets. This receivable is supposed to be paid, and it's in 3 days. We actually have a layer called transparency. All the receivable performance will be put on chain. We said it will be paid in 6 days or 3 days. And what's the real payoff date? All those receivable assets will be on chain and totally transparent. So that's just another layer to make sure people see the underlying assets quality. Let's step back on the security side. Honestly, that's probably the number one thing I told my team very often and really focus on it. So we have two things. Number one is we audit by Spearbit. Basically, it's a top notch in EVM auditing firm, and we already live on other EVM chain. And so it's already our contract, V2 contract is live for more than half a year on other chains. So that's number one. Number two, we also have bug bounty program and also hosted by Spearbit. And that bug bounty program, we have been there live for quite some time. We did get quite a few people to test it and give us some small feedback, but no real issue identified. So that's really from that perspective. I also want to go a little bit extra to talk about what's our design principle. Design principle, there are two fronts. Number, we really want to make sure, even if somebody point a gun, point at me, steal my private key, at the same time, point a gun at my co-founder, Erbo, who is not on the call. Basically, you get the 2 out of 3 the multi-sig private keys. You can only get Huma money from the protocol. You cannot get any user's money from the protocol. That is from day one our design principle. I think that will give a lot of protection. Number one, even if people compromise with my private key, they cannot get it. Also, that also implies the team cannot access investors' money. We can only access the protocol's money. That's just guiding principle. We build it in that way. Number two, we minimize unnecessary exposures. I love composability, and I think that's really have a lot of really value. But when you don't need it, you don't really go for it. So a lot of protocols is really looking, with relying on oracles. And oracle manipulation probably is one of the most common attack vector. And right now we don't use Oracle. We don't need to use it. And right now we minimize our interaction with other protocols. So at this moment, there is basically our risk exposure layer is very minimal. So from that perspective, strong contract auditing and really minimize the power of the admin users. Basically, the super protocol owners minimize their power, so that even if they have their access get compromised, you can only steal protocol money. Then the last one is be very careful about the interface with other places and minimize unnecessary exposures.
Cool. It's always very, very glad to hear Huma prioritize security and very, very dedicated to protect users' funds. So moving on to the next section. So what gets you most excited when you decide to launch your project on Scroll? Like, what is the highlight so far?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, I came from Silicon Valley, and I really value about technology. I believe the future is ZK. It's just super excited. Then you look at all the ZK projects. Obviously from technical perspective, finality is the key, right? Compared with optimistic rollup, then the finality is just the killer, feature. Then out of all the, ZK platform, which one has the most powerful, best performance on finality? That's ZK. That's the Scroll. That's why very naturally for me to first think about ZK Scroll and talk to them, understand, okay, what the real thing is. Then in that process, I learned, wow, the community is different. And also it's matched with our, for example, you guys building in, Turkish community is very, very active. And Ali and Riley is sitting in Istanbul. And a good portion of our ARF team is based in Turkey. That's very, very natural fit. And I think those are the two things probably really, those are the two things really, really excited for us to consider. And of course, we have a very exciting news to announce today. So we are coming to Scroll, and we're going to launch a joint campaign together, so that the users would be, when you participate in the pool, in Huma pool, you not only get 10 to 20% USDC stable yield, but you also get Huma points. And you guys are all familiar with scroll marks and enjoy it. So that's 3-in-1 package together. So that's joint effort. I'm just super excited and very, very excited to be here.
Thank you, Richard, for giving the alpha. We're super excited to have Huma and ARF on Scroll. I think Richard touched on the fact that we're very we've always been very invested in building the community in Turkey. So making sure that financial access and global liquidity can be channeled to the most useful and most efficient sources of capital to improve capital efficiency in the developing world is one of our core missions for Founding Scroll. So apart from building the best tech stack, we also have this social mission of bringing financial access to the rest of the world, and in a way that is not Western centric, in a way that is truly decentralized and truly global. And so I think when I first met Richard, this mission and also what he's trying to build really resonated with us, and we couldn't be happier to welcome them to Scroll. And in addition, I think one of the learnings from building out the Scroll DeFi ecosystem is that there is a massive group of global asset allocators that exist within the crypto ecosystem who are very savvy, very agile, and they know when a good yield opportunity exists. And so when we discover a really high value and relatively kind of an interesting and differentiated opportunities like ARF, we would love to kind of present it to them in a way that that resonates, hopefully. And obviously, at some point when Huma token becomes more tokenized, then there are ways to loop it within the DeFi ecosystem for those community members who enjoys a little bit more risk, who are a little bit more risk on. There are lots of ways to kind of YOLO more into the Huma leverage. So that's something for later. But for the time being, I think what ARF and Huma offers is an incredibly attractive and differentiated source of on-chain yield. One thing to think about is that compared to DeFi yield, this is something that is not correlated, and it's counter-cyclical, so that whatever your allocation methodologies are on chain, this is probably something you don't have access to right now. So obviously not financial advice, we're just sharing this really interesting opportunity.
So chat, this is like the first alpha of today, but this is not the last one of today. So moving on to the next section. So how is the integration experience so far?
What
On
so
Scroll?
far is Scroll, honest, when we deploy on Scroll, at that moment we saw the change, there were on mainnet not too long, we saw that there might be some hiccups. It was just so easy. I asked the team deploy on Scroll. Then I thought, okay, shall we do testing? I asked them, oh yeah, we have done all the testing. There was no hiccup, no nothing, just simply it just works. That's beautiful.
Thank you very much, Richard. So is there any like future roadmap in the Q3 and Q4 of Huma that you can share with us? Is there any like a milestone or like a significant new functions, new feature that you would like to share to the crowd?
Yeah, we are super excited, especially with the PayFi movement and a lot of weird. I'm a strong believer of payment financing will be the new frontier for RWA. You think about in the last 2 years, T-bill, because it's generating real yield 5%, thanks to the Fed's help, it nearly pick up big momentum. You build the success of companies like Undo. And as the Fed's interest started to decline, and all the investors are looking for new opportunities, they're looking at the more like risk-adjusted return. Then from that spectrum, many people, because T-bill opened the door, really paved the way for more RWA assets to be accepted by more and more people. And we believe payment and financing is a natural next phase, is a new frontier for RWA. And because the yield is double-digit yields, that's much better than T-bill. And the risk, as we already mentioned, is insanely low. So from a risk-adjusted perspective, it's really their best asset. We believe PayFi is a new frontier. And we are going to really push very, very aggressively, educate everybody about PayFi. So we are very excited to host PayFi Summit right before Token 2049, together with other significant payments players like Stena, Circle, and Scroll will be there as well, and Solana. So we're really going to push the PayFi narrative and forward. That's number one. Number two, obviously help ARF. ARF is the most excited assets, RWA assets right now. There is no comparable, really from risk perspective, from yield perspective, and also from growth potential perspective. Like Ani said, they have demand for $1 billion transaction, origination per month. There is so much more we can do from that perspective. So we are going to work with bring more liquidity to our business. Number three is even most exciting for me is that not only grow support this cross-border payments, and Huma's PayFi platform can enable a lot more applications. We would love to bring more and more of them to Scroll as well. Right? Let's talk about the credit card businesses. And Ring Card is already live on Huma, and they provide business credit card for Web3 organizations, because those organizations don't have banking account, but they want to give credit card to their members, DAO members, or whatever organizational members, and we enable them to do so. And also, Huma's platform can enable trade financing. We have an application coming in, and we can support a lot of T+0 use cases. Quite some companies are talking to us to launch T+0 applications. That means you, for example, today, focus on the call today, you have T-bill. If you do redemption, you don't get on the same day. You get like 3 days later or 2 days later. A lot of times when you redeem your T-bill, you probably have something planned to do, no matter trading or some other things. What if you can access that capital instantly? That's called T+0. And then we actually super excited to do that, because with PayFi infrastructure, you can do that. In traditional business, many people want to do that. It's just so hard to do. With a blockchain, with a stable coin, and a PayFi infrastructure, you can just make it happen. So we're looking to launch more of applications in that domain.
Yeah, that would definitely unlock a lot of capital efficiency on chain. So going back to Sandy, is there any exciting things or any things that we can tease about with Scroll's latest plan on Q3 and Q4?
For us, it's about kind of bringing on more exotic assets and exploring the product market fit of instant finality. So the settlement aspect of Huma and ARF is at the beginning of an early exploration about how faster settlement and instant finality can add value to a project in and of itself. So we're very keen to explore use cases like this, and also expand on building out our global community. And yeah, so there's lots of stuff to do, and obviously we have a lot of technical updates coming up. So we are anticipating with another upgrade towards the end of the year, the gas on chain will become comparable to the cheapest of the L2s, even within the optimistic stacks. So the cost of transaction will become negligible for everybody on chain. So that is super exciting. When we set out to build Scroll, we didn't anticipate this day would come for maybe 5 to 10 years. But we managed to accelerate the build out, execute, and get to it within 1 year after mainnet. And we have a bunch of kind of onboarding tools designed in the anticipation. We're thinking we're at the precipice of mass adoption for crypto usage, simply because the on-chain yields are so insanely high compared to what's available off-chain. So that's on the demand side. I think there will be a lot of user interest coming in. So we're building out a bunch of tools that will improve the onboarding experience. That includes kind of a single wallet entry called Keystore. We've announced that project in ETH Berlin a few months ago. We'll be continuing with that build out. And within a year's time, I'm expecting the gas fee to become negligible, and we will be gearing towards more and more gasless transactions as the ultimate challenge for improving on-chain UX. So lots and lots of exciting things to come on the infra side, but most importantly for our community, and we've got cool projects like Huma and ARF, and can't wait to kind of build out the DeFi Lego on top of Huma. What is really exciting is that previously on-chain leverage facilities are already pretty mature, but when you add a stable yield source that is very dynamic like this, I think there could be really good kind of chemistry happening within the ecosystem. So I am really excited to see more of that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sandy. And that will be a very, very busy September for a lot of scrollers. We'll be attending KBW and Token Singapore as well. If there's any builders out there who want to meet up with fellow scrollers, I'm pretty sure you'll run into a lot of them in different side events. But if you want to have a one-on-one with any of them, feel free to shoot us a message or leave a message in any tweet. So yeah, that will wrap up the section for today. Thank you very much for coming over, Richard, Ali, and Sandy. Thank you very much for your sharing. So I think that will be sums up the evening. Thank you very much for the alpha review and the exciting roadmap sharing. I'm pretty sure everyone will have a lot of things that a lot of the community members would like to try out Huma, and Ali as well, and for this amazing yield opportunity. So
we'll let Richard wrap up.
Yeah, one last one. As we speak, the system is turning on. So our Huma and ARF is officially live on Scroll. Check it out, Huma.finance.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. So